Hello, Scrappy Peeps. Suzanna here today for P5PP. So Sarah picked these 5 elements, which I'll go over in a little bit, and using those 5 elements plus extra, whatever you would like to from the kit, I created this particular layout about cherry blossoms. So the 5 elements are the two 4x6 cards, that one, and then this blue one, that piece of 12 by 12 pattern paper. The fourth one is the tag, and then the fifth are the circle puffy elements. So I am going to use the 12 by 12 sheet as a whole sheet. This is from Maggie Holmes's Garden Party collection, so not customized, but something added to build up the kit a little bit. And I'm going to cut these 4 by 3 cards out of the pattern paper and leave the rest of it intact. And these I'm going to distress the edges of ink, and 1 or 2 of them I believe I'm going to put on foam just to add a little bit of dimension, because I really like the cards as they are and I wanted to have a little bit more overlap and a little bit more texture to that background there. So I'm going to adhere what I have just onto a piece of Cartabella ivory cardstock. It's in keeping with that sort of more vintage look of the pattern paper. And I'm trying to ink them tone on tone-ish. So this is speckled egg, and then I'm going to just stress that. And I put each of the cards back where they originally came from. You can just see that there's a little bit more overlap and a little bit more distress to them because of those inked edges. That card, I believe I did with faded jeans, so not quite tone on tone, but I like the way that the blue pops the card a little more. And this is just a distress. It's a Tim Holtz distressor, I think, or maybe it's Ranger. Um, it's hard for me to distinguish what's what. And so I'm actually going to rip that a little bit again, just to add more of a distressed look. That was the effect that I was trying to aim for here. So that I'm using the paper as it is, but I'm making it my own by doing this. A little bit about this layout. So we went to Utah for spring break, and we realized, having to leave from DC, that we could go up a day early because it was the height of the cherry blossoms, and they were actually very concerned because there was a lot of bad weather coming in, and they were worried about the blossoms, nobody really being able to enjoy the blossoms at their peak. It was really cold when we were up there. We were not prepared for how windy and cold it was, but I'm glad we went because we were flying out of DC anyway to get a direct flight to Utah. So despite the fact that I have printed all of the 3x4 and 4x6 cards from the kit, when it's a tone-on-tone pattern like this one here, I like to cut out the inside if I'm not using it, especially given that this is now really, so I've got cardstock, the pattern paper, and then the 4x6 card, and then the photo. So I've got 4 layers there. So this way it thinned it out a little bit, but it also gave me more choice of pattern paper if I wanted to incorporate that later. So this is the other 4x6 that I am incorporating. Don't worry, this is not all I use of it. I have fully intend to use the circle part of the inner part of that. You can't see, but what's really cool about some of the patterns, their tone-on-tone patterns, is that it's almost tribal in a way. So I am using ThermoWeb foam. It's double-sided foam, and it's the perfect height for, it's not too tall. So it's intended to go behind flock or those sorts of things, but I really like it for raising things up a little bit if I've got bigger elements that I want to raise up. So I have included the pattern paper. I've included the 2 4x6 cards. Now I need to include the tag. So that's the cream tag. And so I'm going to put ribbon through that. And I do get out my Imaginis from way back when ribbon cutter, because I want clean edges. But the funny thing is that I end up just trimming it anyway, because who cares, right? Really, if it ends up fraying, it ends up fraying, and I'm not going to know, so whatever. And then this is jute, colored jute. I believe my mom colored this stuff for me, although it could be from May Arts, from when I designed for coordinations and we did a team up then, but I honestly couldn't tell you where that is from. So you can see this is the second time I try using it and it fails. I think part of it is because I'm just being impatient, but I don't end up using the yellow because I really like that cream, and it's a patterned cream. I think you might be able to see that closer in the close-ups. But the idea is that I'm going to thread that through. It's not a circle, but it's a longer loophole. And then I'm going to use the jute to tie that just to give it a slightly different effect. Uh, so that's where I end up using my scissors anyway. And with it bunched up, it, it'll be fine. You won't tell if you won't be able to tell if it frays. And I'm using the bluey gray jute to tie that. And again, I'm trying to stick with, there's kind of a lot of color palettes, but it's more of a muted color palette. And I like the way that the muted color palette really worked well with the photo because it was kind of a muted color palette day. It was so cold, and while the cherry blossoms were actually in bloom and beautiful, it was unfortunate that we didn't have blue sky behind them, but that's the way the weather was, and you can't make it pretend to be otherwise. So I'm using some of the leftovers of my ThermoWeb foam to pop this up. Again, it is a rather thick cardstock, but I wanted to pop that up again for a little bit of depth and dimension to that there. So I had cut out or I have cut out some cherry blossoms, and those little pink things, you see I put that pink thing on there, that is the remnants of the cutting, and so I'm going to use that to build into my title, Cherry Blossom. So as part of the puffy stickers, you have these half circles. There's two of them. One says much needed, and that's the pink one that I'm playing with now and trying to figure out where I want to put it. And I'm not sure, so in the meantime, I'm going to start working on some other elements. I can't get through to this circle using my 2-inch punch, so I'm going to have to cut it up a little bit, which is fine because I always end up using those little bits and pieces, as you can see, as I've done on the right-hand side there. So I had not really wanted to put tone on tone with this. I didn't want it to get lost, but it really didn't work anywhere else because of where I knew I wanted to put the title on that top left-hand side. And so I used this pink puffy sticker. It's almost like a sun and a horizon to make that stand out a little bit there. So you can see that half circle that says much needed, I end up putting below the photo, and I really like the way that that pops the pink in the photo by having that. So these are the innards from the cherry blossoms that you'll see come up a little bit later, and that is where I'm going to house my title. Off camera, I am going to put a not kit related ticket underneath there. That's from Basic Gray, I believe. And then I've put another one of those semicircle phrases, and it says take it easy on there. So a lot of these phrases are not, they're about feelings, and so they were not relevant to this, which is why I don't end up using many of the puffy stickers on here. So this is super, super old Making Memories, Memory Makers, one or the other. Jute, not jute, twill. And it says together on it. And I just liked the way that it added a little phrase because we were together on spring break. And so that's going to go on one of the labels from the kit. And yeah, I just like the way the colors really work together there. I am also off camera. I got the nature stamp set that was available in May. So this is the May kit that we're working with. And I am going to use another one of my Distress Oxides to put a little bit of just floral leafage off of a few of the elements, and you'll see that again in the close-ups. Again, it's very muted and it's very subtle, but that's what the look that I was going for. So I moved that tag because I don't like the white where it is, but I like the way that by putting it on the horizontal, it emphasizes the horizontal photo, and it emphasizes the horizon in the photo, so where the basin ends. So I apologize for the speed of this, but apparently I recorded on high speed. So I'm using Kerri Bradford's Max alphabet, and I am using 3 Distress Oxides. I'm using Tattered Rose, Victorian Velvet, and Aged Mahogany for the title, and I'm alternating the letters, and it just says Cherry Blossoms. And it is kind of hard to read, but I like it. Again, it's part of the muted look of the layout there. I'm also going to use some white PaperPerson letter stickers, their numbers, and put 2021 at the bottom of the S. So that's the cherry blossoms that I was referring to. And then again, from the nature stamp, I'm going to stamp nature there, and that is going to wrap it up. So again, this is a collaboration that I do with Sarah Scraps. Be sure to head over to her channel and see how she uses the 5 elements that she chose. In the meantime, enjoy the close-ups. I hope you are doing well. And if you get the kits, we would love to have you link us up to what it is that you're creating with the kits too. Thanks for stopping in today. I hope you're doing well. Take care.